Under the EMS report, patient victim information for the scene section, this is where you're going to put in the initial obvious condition, how you found the patient, were they conscious, semi-conscious, whatever it might be. You also add the injury or illness section here, whether it was an illness or an injury. Injury intent or other factors, whether it was accidental, self-inflicted, if they were shot with a gun by somebody else, it would be inflicted but not self-inflicted. You move down the list to alcohol and drug use indicators. If they have admitted to using drugs or using alcohol, or there's paraphernalia at the scene, you can add that in this section. If you click yes and go to details, add a single record or add multiple, hit the ... and they admitted to using alcohol. You can click save and it adds it to the record. There are no advanced directives in this section, so you can skip over that. The patient's past medical history is something we get from most of our patients that we have contact with. If they don't give you anything, it'd be unknown or NA. If they do give you something, you press yes, and again, it's add a record. So you can add a single record. You can go down here. If they have hypertension, it adds that in, and you click save. If they tell you something and it's not in this list, because this is not a all-inclusive list, you can go to other and hit OK and add the notes. They have chronic back pain. I'm not sure if that's in the list or not, but we're just going to add it. Back pain. And it will show up in the notes section. This section right here, the past medical history, will import when you use auto-generate into your narrative. When this goes over, this other tab will also show back pain in that narrative section. If you click on it, it sees the notes right there. So be sure to add everything that they tell you as far as past medical history. When you're adding this and you go to add a patient's name from the medical history, not using the involvement, these things will show up on future calls if you add in their name with their birth date. So if you build this, you can have frequent flyer EMS patients that already have the history filled out for you. Aid given to a patient victim prior to arrival. This is going to be where CPR is given by a bystander or a law enforcement. This is where you would indicate that. So you'd go to plus, and let's say law enforcement, local police provided CPR. You would do the results of the aid was remain the same, and click save. There's several different descriptions in here. Witnessed arrest, assistance would be the three that you more than likely would put in. So you cancel. Let's take that one away. Cancel. The scenes factor and affecting scene factors affecting response or EMS care. If there was some type of you're staging for an unsafe scene, this is where you would add that information in. Unsafe scene. This way, it would, if you had any type of prolonged on-scene time, you would put it in here. You can also add in if you're having vehicle problems, your vehicle will start and something happened, you can add that in here. That's why you had a prolonged, or adverse weather, adverse road conditions, anything of that nature would go here. Human factors affecting response and EMS care, we're not really collecting this information, so I would just skip over it. And then patient safety equipment worn or deployed. This is if they were involved in an accident. Did they wear a seatbelt? Did safety bags deploy? If the child was in a safety seat, if they were in some type of accident, were they wearing a helmet? Any of these types of things would be noted here. So again, more than likely you'll use the safety belt here. If the patient advised that they were in a car wreck and they were wearing a seat belt, you mark safety belt and click Save. Once all those are filled out, this section is done and you can move on.